Now somehow I've never compared the Xiaomi Pad 6 to the iPad 10 or any iPad really, and now that the price of these two are actually really similar, which is the better option? Well, let's talk about it. The price of the Xiaomi Pad 6 and iPad 10 is just over $300 right now in the United States, which is pretty good compared to other tablets. I think I've even seen the iPad 10 go below that here recently, but I'll leave a link down below with current pricing and more information. You've got 64 gigabytes for the base model iPad versus 128 for the Xiaomi Pad 6. There's also a 256 gigabyte version for both as well. The screen sizes are pretty close at 10.9 inch for the iPad with 1640 by 2360 resolution versus 11 inches for the Xiaomi Pad at 1800 by 2880 resolution. In person, I feel like it's kind of a toss-up on which one looks better, and they've got pretty similar brightness and viewing angles. I guess that's not a huge surprise considering both are using an IPS LCD display, but the iPad is 60 Hz refresh rate versus up to 144 Hz on the Xiaomi Pad 6. You'll notice the iPad is a little bit wider, a little more square, so it may be personal preference on the aspect ratio, but overall screen quality is actually really close between these two. Surprisingly, even though these tablets are pretty much the same size, the Xiaomi Pad lasted about 7 hours versus 5.5 for the iPad. Keep in mind though, that's at 100% screen brightness and it's more intense testing, so if you turn the screen brightness down with mixed usage, you'll get a lot better battery life. Software wise, even though one is on Android 14 using HyperOS, the other one's on iPadOS 17, you'll notice some things look fairly similar, like the control panel up in the corner, which has some shortcuts, and it's nice you can control the volume without having to feel around the edges for the buttons. This one may come down to personal preference and which apps you need to use as far as which has the better software, but both feel nice and smooth just moving around the software and when doing multitasking or everyday stuff that you would normally do. I don't have the pen to test out on the Xiaomi Pad, but the iPad 10 works with the USB-C Apple Pencil or the first gen Apple Pencil, which is nice for taking notes, drawing, or just moving around the software. Unfortunately, the pen or pencil is not included with either tablet, at least for the United States, so you'll have to pay extra for those. Nice thing is you've got video out on both tablets, so you can use an HDMI adapter to connect these to a projector, external monitor, or TV, which I feel like is pretty nice to have, especially when you're traveling. One advantage for the iPad is you have Touch ID right on the power button, where you don't get a fingerprint scanner on the Xiaomi Pad 6. The iPad is 1 year older, but typically iPads have really good software updates. I believe the Xiaomi Pad has 3 years software, 5 years security updates, so plenty of life left regardless of which one you go with. Nice thing is with the Xiaomi Pad 6, you've got Workstation, where it's sort of like floating windows that you can move around. I feel like it's somewhat like Samsung DeX, probably the new Samsung DeX anyways. So definitely a nice feature if you want to be a little more productive. Performance wise, the iPad 10 is going to be quite a bit better in pretty much every category compared to the Xiaomi Pad 6, even though it only has 4 gigabytes of RAM versus 6 or 8 in the Xiaomi Pad. So that could come in handy down the road after a few more updates. I think both are good options for playing games like PUBG Mobile or Asphalt Legends Unite. Just keep in mind, the iPad is going to play most games at better graphics and higher frame rates. As far as the speakers go, you have 2 on each side for the Xiaomi Pad with Dolby Atmos and only 1 on each side for the iPad, even though it looks like 2. The Xiaomi Pad seems like it's a little bit louder, but both actually sound really good in person. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what they sound like.
As you
Now, when it comes to cameras, typically they're not great on tablets in my experience when compared to your cell phone, but I feel like these two are actually pretty good for tablets anyways. The iPad has a 12 megapixel wide angle on the back, 12 megapixel ultra wide on the front. The Xiaomi Pad 6 has a 13 megapixel on the back, 13 megapixel on the front. You can also shoot up to 4K resolution for video recording on both tablets. I think you could use either one for Zoom meetings or other video conference calls, but here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what they sound like. So as you can see, there's quite a few similarities between these two. Obviously, the software is going to be personal preference, and if you want the tablet with better performance, you'll probably want to go with the iPad. But I still feel like the Xiaomi Pad 6 has a lot of good features and just feels like a really good option if you're looking for an Android tablet in this price range. If you like tablets, phones, and other tech, I've got a lot more stuff that I'm working on, so you'll want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishby Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.